welcome to today's video talking about my labor and delivery story. So if you're watching this video, I assume that means you're expecting or you're planning. Either way, congratulations to you. So I just gave birth recently, and if you haven't seen my pregnancy announcement video or the telling friends and family we're pregnant video or the gender reveal, I'll leave those linked below. Feel free to go ahead and watch those to catch up. I give you permission to exit out of this video, but you have to promise to come back. So if this is the first time you're watching one of my videos, hi, my name is Mary and I am a first-time mom. I gave birth recently to my baby girl, Kiera. Just wanted to share my story with you. I know that when I was pregnant, I was watching a lot of labor and delivery videos, so I was aware of what to look out for, but when it actually happened to me, I had no idea what was going on. So hopefully you learned something from this video and it helps you out. So my story started on July 7th. That was my last appointment with my OB, and during that appointment she checked to see how much I dilated, and unfortunately at that time I was not dilated at all and only 50% effaced. So I left that appointment a little bit discouraged because I was really hoping to meet baby girl soon, and that appointment was 2 days before my due date, which was July 9th. And sorry if I keep looking down, my notes are on my phone. So aside from checking my dilation, she also booked me for an ultrasound on the 13th and then a gel induction on the 16th, and then I would have to go back again to the hospital to have the baby on July 17th. So hearing that kind of made me a little bit anxious, but at the same time it was also a positive, because if I did not have my baby by then, I would know for sure that she would be coming on the 17th. After that appointment, because I wanted to have her out sooner than later, I tried a lot of natural induction methods. So some of the ones I've tried were eating a lot more pineapple, exercising more, eating spicy foods, having sex. Days leading up to when my water broke, I noticed that I was getting a lot more period-like cramps and Braxton Hicks contractions, which is the tightening of your uterus, which I did not know. Every time I felt that tightening feeling, I just thought, oh, baby's just leaning on something and it's making me uncomfortable, but ended up being contractions. I was also getting a lot more shooting and sharp pains in my pelvic area and my butt, and then they also call this lightning crotch. I was also breaking out more, and I also had periods where I would feel a lot of energy, and then there's also times where I would just feel so tired. A couple days before my water broke, I was also waking up consistently between like 6:45 to 7 a.m. and I was just really hungry. So I would just wake up, eat, and then go back to bed. I also had more backache and then an increase in my metabolism. So right after I'd eat breakfast, I'd have to go to the washroom, and that I did not experience for a long time, because when you're pregnant, it takes a while for you to go to the washroom sometimes because everything's just digesting a lot slower. All of that was between July 7th to July 10th. Now on July 11th at around 3:40 a.m. I woke up and I went to the washroom. Once I came back, I felt like a little bit of water coming out, so I went and I checked, and I had a little bit of pinkish brown color on my pad, so I thought maybe that was the mucus plug. So then I just changed the pad and then went back to bed, and then a little bit more water came out. This time it was like a yellowy green, and then the third one, it was a yellowy green again. I did not know that my water broke at this time because it was coming out in little trickles, and I also read that it comes out a clear liquid. So because this was changing color, I thought maybe it wasn't my water breaking, and I also didn't feel like a pop. I also called the labor and delivery line at my hospital, and the nurse said if it was my water breaking, I would 100% know. So because I was kind of unsure, I just like put on a new pad and just went to bed. In the morning when I woke up, the pad and my underwear were soaked So I was like, okay, this is probably my water breaking, not sure, because I wasn't really feeling any strong contractions or anything either. So because I only live like 5 minutes away from the hospital, I told my husband like, okay, we'll just go, you drop me off, and if I get sent home, then it's fine. Yeah, once I woke up, I just ate, cleaned up a little bit. We had chicken defrosting in the fridge for a little bit, so I just made sure I marinated that. Had leftover Chipotle, only a couple bites, and then I took a shower, and then hubby dropped me off at the hospital. That was around like 10 o'clock in the morning maybe. So when I got to the hospital, I told them I think my water broke in my sleep. So they put me into a room and they had me strapped with this like blue belt and a pink belt that monitors baby's heart and then also my contractions. They of course also had me put on the hospital gown and everything, check my blood pressure, temperature. So at this point I was just alone. Hubby just dropped me off and went back home. I wanted him to cook that chicken. So the nurse came back in and she said she was going to check if my water broke, and they check by having this really long like Q-tip, and she had me open up my legs and she stuck the Q-tip up there. She told me to cough and I was like, okay. So I was a little shy, so I was like, and nothing. So then she told me to cough again, so I was like, and then she's like, okay, just keep coughing. So at this point I'm just like, and then a huge gush of water came out, and then depending on the color that the Q-tip turns, I think that will indicate if it was for sure my water breaking or not. So she's like, okay, yeah, for sure, like your water broke. Once the nurse confirmed, she got the doctor came in, and the doctor was like pushing down on my belly, trying to feel if the baby's head was face down. Later on, the nurse asked me to call my husband, and I was like, oh, why? Like to pick me up? Like, am I going home? And she's like, no, call him, tell him to come because you're gonna have your baby today. So when she said that, I started tearing up because I'm like, oh wow, this is happening, okay. Because we were in this COVID season, my husband got dropped off. He had to bring in all our bags. He also had to bring in the car seat, but luckily he was able to stay with me the entire time, which is really nice. I packed a lunch bag before with carb heavy food, so Darren was able to eat that. I couldn't eat it because I was on oxytocin, and so yeah, I was living off of a couple bites of Chipotle that I had in the morning, but because I had the IV in me, I wasn't really hungry or anything anyway. And the nurse did say that if Darren wanted, he could order Uber Eats and go pick it up too. But yeah, as I mentioned before, since I did not have strong contractions that were frequent or anything, they put me on oxytocin so that I can induce my labor. So they just stuck an IV in me and I was just laying there chilling till it picked up. Later on, the nurses also came in. They asked me if I'm planning on getting an epidural. I told them that I'm open to the idea. It just depends on how much I can tolerate the pain. But they said the anesthesiologist for the day was going to be really busy, so if I wanted it, I'd have to get it early. I said, okay, yeah, sure, give it to me, because if later on the pain is really unbearable and the anesthesiologist is not ready to come to me when I need, like, I don't want to deal with that pain. So because I got it early, I really did not feel anything the whole time. And when the anesthesiologist came in and they were going to do the epidural, that was the only time Darren was asked to leave the room. While we were waiting to dilate, I think we were watching Netflix. Baby girl, are you okay? She's awake. She's just stretching. Oh. Oh. Okay, she's fussing. Okay, so I had to pause to tend to Kira, but we're back now, ready to roll. So where did I leave off? So around 4 o'clock, they came in to check how much I dilated, and I was only dilated like 1.5 to 2 centimeters. So I was thinking like, wow, I've already been here for like maybe 5 or 6 hours and it's only dilated that much. Like, I'll probably be here till the next day. But then they came back 3 hours later and they said I was fully dilated. Like, they were able to stick their hand up there and feel the baby's head. So I was ready to start pushing. As I was doing the practice practice pushes, the nurses turned down the epidural so that I can feel the contractions and when to push, which was really good because I know some people said that they couldn't feel anything with the epidural and that's what made it difficult for them to push. So if your nurse doesn't already do that, you could ask to have that done so it's easier on you, so you don't strain yourself so much and do more pushes than you really need to. And what you are looking for that will signal you when to push is a feeling in your butt, surprisingly. It just feels like there's something going up it, basically. So for the practice pushes, they said I need to hold my hands behind my knees. Even when I'm actually pushing, I do have to do that. So I did not hold Darren's hand or anything. It was just kind of there, cheered me on the sidelines. So when the doctor came and we were ready to push the baby out, after the first couple pushes, I started feeling something like dangling in my butt area, and I thought maybe I like pooped myself. So I was asking like, is everything okay? Like, did I poo? And they're like, no, that's just your baby. I'm like, I feel it coming out of my butt though. That's so weird. They're like, no, that's your baby. Your baby's coming. As you're pushing, you feel like this, well, I felt this burning feeling, and I think that's what they refer to as ring of fire as you're pushing the baby out because of all the stretching, and that is probably more uncomfortable than those butt contractions themselves. We pushed through like maybe 4 contractions. It was only like 20 minutes altogether, and then the baby came out and they went and they placed her on my chest, and I was just so like overwhelmed and tired, and I had so much adrenaline that my whole body was shaking like I was having a seizure. I almost said Caesar, like the dressing. The nurse had to be like, that's your baby, hold your baby. And I don't even remember the first words that I said to her, but I feel like it's something generic, like, hi baby, I'm your mom. Like, as baby was on my chest and the doctor was working down there, it literally felt like, you know that trick the clowns do where they just continuously pull out cloth from their sleeve? Like, that's what it felt like the doctor was doing. And when they stitch me up, all you feel is just stringing, like someone playing the harp down there or something. Like, it didn't hurt, it just like you just knew that they were stitching you up, so the thought of that and then feeling that stringing feeling just made me uncomfortable because I knew what was happening but I couldn't quite feel it. Anyway, hubby was so strong. He watched the whole thing. He cut the umbilical cord and I'm so proud of him. And also when they pulled out my placenta, I got to see it, and then they said it was also a big placenta, and they're surprised because it was in someone of my size. So I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. As soon as baby came out, she was also like ready to start sucking. She was finding my boob, but unfortunately at that time I didn't have any milk. I didn't have any colostrum, like nothing. So the nurses confronted me saying it's okay because baby can survive off of whatever they had when they were still inside of me for a couple hours, but if my milk doesn't come in, I can always supplement with formula. So that's what we ended up doing later on in the night, which helped us get some sleep. And I think maybe like the second night is when my colostrum started to come in. They also said that I was losing a lot of blood. They kept pushing down on my uterus a lot, and every time they pushed down, it literally felt like Niagara Falls coming out there. Like, there was just so much fluid and coming out, and they said that if I just keep bleeding a lot like that, I might have to go to the OR, and that kind of freaked me out. The doctor came back though, and she just like shoved her fist inside me, and I just felt her like wiggling it around and like grabbing blood clots. They felt like big rocks like she was pulling out. Obviously I didn't want to look or anything, but after she pulled those out, the bleeding started to slow down, and they said it was looking good, so I didn't need to go to the OR, thankfully. But it made the rest of my stay a little bit more uncomfortable because all the nurses knew that I was at risk of losing a lot of blood. So they'd always come into my room and check on me by pushing down on my uterus to see if any blood pushes out. And the way they push on it and how hard they push on it was so uncomfortable. Like, it scarred me for the first couple of days after I got home. Like, I did not want to touch my stomach. Like, in the shower, I didn't even want to like rub it. Like, I was done. And so yeah, because the doctor stuck her fist up there and wiggled it around, they had to stitch me up again. I asked the nurse if I tore down there, and she said yes, I got a 2nd-degree tear, but that's the most common one. So I was like, okay, sure, whatever that 2nd-degree tear means. Anyway, once everything started to settle, they got the blood under control. She offered me sandwich. I had a tuna sandwich. And then she also like injected medication in me twice to help stop the bleeding, and then both times it caused me to vomit, so I vomited back out the tuna sandwich. Overall, I would say that my labor and delivery went really smooth, better than I could ever imagine, everything that we prayed for. The biggest thing that helped me that I could tell you is also like, don't have high expectations. Go in there with an open mind, because once you start planning and nitpicking everything, which is what I usually do in general, and it doesn't go to plan, that's when you start stressing out. So the fact that I did not have a birth plan, I just kind of went with the flow. Whatever they said, I just said okay or no, and just went with it, and like it was very stress-free. I feel incredibly blessed, and I'm so happy that we have a healthy, happy daughter. So if you stayed for the whole story, thank you. I hope that you were entertained, or that you learned a lot, or it made you start feeling more comfortable about your upcoming labor and delivery. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment, or you can also DM me on Instagram. I'll leave my handle somewhere on the screen here. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!